I call upon Mr. Rubén Rubinyan from Armenia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Dear colleagues, the current xenophobic environment in the world makes it imperative to define mechanisms for combating this phenomenon. It should be noted that all forms of xenophobia are interrelated and mutually supporting forms of oppression. In this regard, I would like to draw your attention to the existence of hate speech in regions which have conflict zones. The growing manifestations of hate speech, xenophobia and warmongering by political leaders in regions that have conflict zones carry a substantially negative influence. Frequent military rhetoric and hate speech directed at ethnic groups, especially in conflict zones, may hamper the negotiation processes as well as threaten visions of reconciliation in the future. We consider the prevalence of expressions of hate speech as a factor that may give an impetus to violence and even to new wars, crimes against humanity and genocides. In the beginning was the Word. This quote from the Bible perfectly sums up the huge consequences that speech, and hate speech in this case, may have. Hate speech kills, dear colleagues. It kills debate, it kills arguments, it kills politics, and if it's not prevented, if it's not condemned, it kills real people. Thus, we urge parliamentarians to establish effective mechanisms within their parliaments and interparliamentary platforms aiming at monitoring expressions of hate speech and tackling the issue in appropriate reports. As politicians, we must make sure that hate speech is condemned, not only in general, but also in each and every instance. We must make sure that our speeches are aimed at peace, not war, life, not death. In this regard, I want to tell you about the recent developments that took place in the Armenian public discourse in the context of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. The newly elected Prime Minister of Armenia, whom you will have a chance to address questions to tomorrow, has made quite remarkable statements recently. He stated that the solution of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict must be acceptable for the people of Armenia, Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan. This is the first time ever in the context of this conflict that a leader acknowledges the other side, talks about acceptance of something from the other side. In another statement, the Prime Minister talked about the necessity of leaders of the conflict sides to talk not only to their own societies, but also to each other's societies, thus reaffirming that they do not want war. He also talked about the intolerant comments written by the citizens of the conflicting sides on social media aimed at each other, stating that this is leading nowhere and that we should focus on substantive issues instead. Dear colleagues, these statements must sound pretty normal and mundane to you, but this is a truly huge step in a region loaded with ethnic tensions. This is a huge step towards changing the discourse of intolerance in the region. And even though we have not witnessed the same level of constructiveness from our neighbors from Azerbaijan yet, although aggressive rhetoric is still present, we do hope that the discourse in Azerbaijan will change eventually, because building peace is a parallel process. And in sign of constructivism, I will simply not respond to the groundless allegations presented by our Azerbaijani colleagues, because we are here for human rights and democracy and not nationalist crossfire. Thank you.